On the other end of what you don't want is what you do want. And what we talk about a lot here is that the way to get there is through following the joy and the curiosity. But through life experience recently, I've been brought to this message today. It's not just about following your joy and following your curiosity. It's about speaking your truth. It's about knowing your value and communicating that unapologetically, and knowing that when you do that, no matter how scary it is, no matter the consequences, the potential endings, the potential redirections, you will be put in alignment with what you do want, with your true desires, with alignment with your soul, with your purpose and mission and true fulfillment, if you follow that. And I don't want to say fearlessly, because the goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to use fear as your guiding light. The goal is to know that fear is where the magic lies. That fear is the breadcrumb to the life that you desire. If you're so afraid of it, then it's possibly for you. You know, if it's not just a phobia, if it's an actual fear, like you're feeling it in your gut, you're feeling it in your throat, it's igniting and waking up parts of you that were maybe dormant, that you have to face in order to get to the next level. It's your gift. It's really your gift when you start to feel that just unbearable, almost anxiety about what needs to be done, right? Sometimes it's hard to be seen for the truth of who you are. Sometimes it's hard to speak the truth of who you are. Sometimes it's hard to even know the value that you truly are. Therefore, it's hard to speak the value that you truly are and to never settle for anything less than that, because maybe you've learned and you've seen and you've been taught how to do otherwise. But if you're watching this right now, there's something in your life that you have to face, and face with confidence, and face with knowing that you're going to be okay if you say what you truly want to say, if you be who you truly are, even though that person or that situation might not recognize that person, that version of you. There might not be space for this version of you that is the truth of who you are. And there might be space. There might be a space that's really waiting for you, that actually has ease and grace and joy and curiosity waiting for you. It's on a platter. It's just like, come and get me. Like, I'm ready for you, but you have to meet me here. You have to get to this level. And how do you get to this level? You start to say, okay, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to ask for that raise. I'm going to tell that person that offended me. Not offended me, because sometimes we have to work on, our responsibility for being offended, right? And that's a choice. Our choice is how we respond to things. But even in that, we understand that it's a choice of how we respond to things, but that you're responding to things from a place of truth. When you dig deep and dig deep and dig deep, and you move past the oh, is this coming up because of the way that my mother treated me, or my father treated me, or my siblings treated me, or these bullies at school treated me, and you move past that and you're like, no, this is literally just crossing my boundary. This is literally just not what I am okay with as this version of me. And then you confront that situation, that person, and you say, this is my boundary. This is what I need. I need this amount of pay. I need this boundary to never be crossed again. If it is crossed again, I will remove myself from this situation, from this dynamic, from this relationship, and that is final. And that might be terrifying. But on the other end of what you don't want is what you do want. And so if you're experiencing something that you don't want right now in a job, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a living situation, if you're experiencing what you don't want, on the other end, it's already created the perfect situation for you. I'll go in and give a little life example now. So, hello, by the way, I am back in Italy. Maybe you noticed if you've been here for a little while. So I just finished my trip from California and Kentucky. I never really rep brand thingies, like really big words or anything, but I saw this in Kentucky in the airport, and I was like, oh, such good memories here. I'm so proud in a way. Pride's not always like the best thing to carry, but I'm really grateful that I get to experience this season of life doing horse stuff here in Italy on this horse farm and animal sanctuary. And then my dad is also doing horse breeding with like a really big heart. It's not like the normal method of breeding where people are just doing it for business. He just ends up falling in love with all these horses, and then they pretty much are just his pets now. And so it was really nice to go there and to just feel even more that like richness of what it is to be in the horse world. And Kentucky is the land of horses. It's like where most people with, not most people, but a lot of people with horse brain go. And so, yeah, anyway, Kentucky. Just got back from Kentucky, flew straight from Kentucky to Chicago and then to Milan. And now we're here. And adjusting back to everything is just, it's challenging. Like, there are challenges. There are wonderful parts. There are challenges. It was not actually so challenging to adjust back to California because I've lived there most of my life and it just felt like home. It was so nice to see friends and to see family and to just walk down the road or the beach trail with Arlo and to run into people that I know, business owners that I know, friends that I know, to make plans with people on the spot. Like, that is such a beautiful, simple thing of life that I haven't experienced in the past year because I don't know people in these countries. Not only that, here it's incredible. We have people coming here every single day, new people from all around the world, and I'm learning about horses, I'm learning about dogs, I'm learning about donkeys and goats and cats and pigeons and chickens and all these wonderful things. And so it's a completely different life. I'm learning about vans and my van and other people doing van life. And so it was really great going to California and to experiencing that. And then to come back here, it's like, this is because I was missing California so much in a way, and it was such a great trip, and this is my home now, Italy, and of course I'll be traveling from here in and out in the van once the van is driving. Someone's working on it today and this week, so hopefully in the next, we'll say month, it should be driving, and then we'll go to Ireland, me and you, and Arlo, maybe Duchess. Aslan is not in his mama's belly. We don't think. We think it was a phantom pregnancy. Aslan is the puppy that I am going to bring into my little zoo, my little family of animals that is growing. We have Ladybug, we have Chaos, we have Duchess. Zima, lives with me and spends a lot of time with me here on the farm, but she has to stay on the farm because she's the top bitch of all 60 dogs here. She's important to the ecosystem of dogs. So with that, I came back and I was, missing that feeling of home. And when I came back, my home had changed, my space had changed, things were moved around. I felt disrespected, honestly. And that was never the intention of, the person in charge of that. And I felt inconsidered. I felt all these things and I was like spiraling. I was so furious. I was telling my therapist, I was like, I am a very heart-centered person, but I am mad. And we did the thing. We went down the line and saw where I first felt like that and looked at that and moved through that and then looked at it from a place of like, no, this is actually just my boundary now. Like, yes, it mimicked old relationships, old dynamics, and like there's lesson to learn in that. The lesson to learn is how I will handle this differently than how I, handled this lesson in the last perceived reality manifestation of the same dynamic. And it's so interesting how sometimes, like my last jobs, it was like my boss would look like my ex-boyfriend and my ex-boyfriend would look like, a parent. And it was just, the lesson is always recreating itself until you see it. And it will just be different people, a different thing. Like maybe it's a job, maybe it's a romantic relationship, maybe it's a, co-living situation, but it's going to be the same thing at a base level. And so I just did my thing where I was like, okay, I just need to say it if it, you know, if it changes things. Like, I don't normally say things here. I don't normally create like a fuss. And that was always how I was, you know, growing up to be. Like, I wanted to be a people pleaser. I didn't want to create a big issue. So I would just kind of put up with it. And I didn't want, you know, my partners to get upset. So I would just deal with it. Like, I dealt with some wild things, like wild things. I can't believe that I would put up with some things in relationship. And I was like, okay, well, this is my opportunity now to end that cycle. And so I said what I needed. I said what I valued. I explained, because what's really nice about speaking with conscious people who are, you know, self-aware and who are self-responsible is that we can all understand that we have different values and we have different perspectives and ways that we're seeing things, and we have different triggers and we have different things that are going to set us off. And so it was nice to feel that when I said, I need this, and this, like, this is not okay with me, this really upset me, then I was presented with a wonderful solution of where I can live on the farm next and how we're going to build a beautiful place to live. And I felt like I received so much love in a direct transaction of me stating my boundaries and stating what I needed and stating when something's not okay with me. And so as I was reflecting on this today, now that I'm more settled in, got some sleep, I'm excited about the future here. I'm doing meetings with the team, and we're talking about book ideas. We're doing children's books. We're working on that for each one of the animals. They're going to have, it's like endless amounts of stories that we can do in this series. We have an author who just joined us here. And if you are a publisher, if you know a publisher, I would love to start making that connection so that we can show this publisher the manuscript for the first book and the ideas for the following books, and how, you know, we're going to have the stories of each animal. Like, the first one is going to be about our pigeon here that we rescued from the side of the road. We, you know, held space for him until he learned how to fly, and then he called this place home, and he would fly away and come back, and it's such a beautiful story. And so the story of PJ, and that's the first one that we're going to write. And we were working on that today with original artwork. We have some members on the team who are wonderful artists. And so doing stuff like this, it also is like lighting me up. It's really exciting to me to be a part of something so big, so special with animals, and making the world a better place and making the world a more heart-centered place, more conscious with the earth. Like, we're going to start offering mushroom foraging retreats, because that's a big thing. And we have a lot of natural, I don't know how to say it, wild mushrooms and other, like, we have wild asparagus and mint, and it's so cool to connect with the land again. I think that that's what a lot of people are moving towards on planet Earth right now, is wanting to reconnect with the basics, but the truth and the land, and, you know, to get rid of all this conditioning of like what we think that we need and this materialism, and to realize that you can be more self-sustaining. You can make your own food. You don't need so much. All these things that you think you need are holding you back from the life that you truly want. That whole thing. And we're creating this space here for that. And then, of course, we're talking more and more about my wellness center that I'm building here, and how that will be something that we're going to start working on building and renovating. It's a beautiful space. I can't wait to show you guys. We can do a little series of renovating the wellness studio if you would like. And up this mountain, we'll have the glamping tent city. Also, do you see Zima over there? My girl, she is watching my back nonstop. She is an angel on earth. I feel so much safer with a guardian dog around me. That's why I was talking about Aslan. I talked about him in another video. It's really, like, animals are so special. And Arlo is like my soul dog. He is me and a dog. We are just like two, I don't know, not two, but like balls of joy, and just kind of like see past a lot of the negativity. That's why I was feeling so strange when I was like angry. But Arlo also is learning his boundaries with dogs and with animals, and it's interesting to see him doing that with dogs and saying like, no, I've had enough of you biting my butt and running off. To like this one dog that we have here is a terrier mix. And so anyway, I love bringing you guys into this part of my world too, because this is where these lessons generate. And we're all so similar. Like how I was saying that these lessons, they manifest in different ways, but it's always like the same thing. It's going to be like the same thing for you. Like there's only so many lessons that we all need to learn, like, forgiveness and worthiness. And like when you break it down, there's really not that many. And so we're all just experiencing these different wonderful infinite possibilities of manifestations of the same thing. I learned recently, and I don't know the exact number, but it's very low based off of what I would think there would be, but there is we can look this up and talk about this more in another video. There's a very low amount of actual thoughts that humans have. Like, we think that we have all these thoughts, but really we're all thinking pretty much the same thing based off of this category of thoughts that we can have, and they're just looping, and they're looping in different ways, and then they're creating our reality, right? Because they're looping, and whether we know it or not, they're maybe in the subconscious, they're creating the realities. And so that's what's so cool about dreams, right? Dreams are always creative, and just how could I even think of that? It's the same thing with your reality. It's like, how could I even think of this? But it's created from you, from what you're thinking, from what's stored in your subconscious mind. That's why it's so important to really focus on what's in your subconscious mind and to learn the lessons that are in front of you. There's like a time where you can do the digging, but really, like, your perceived reality will show you exactly what you need to see in order to get to that next level, in order to experience what you truly want, which is created when you experience what you don't want. If you're experiencing what you don't want, you should be excited, because that means you're so close to the other end of the stick of what you do want. If you just move through this with truth, if you move through this with knowing your value, knowing your truth, knowing that you will always be supported when you act and speak from a heart-centered place, when you honor yourself, when you speak up for yourself, when you advocate for yourself, and you move in that direction. What I keep asking myself in situations like this, I'm like, well, how would this not future, I hate putting things in the future because time and space are not real, but there's a version of me that I visit in my chosen timeline, that I perceive right now as my chosen timeline, and there's that version of me there. And I ask myself, like, what would that Araya do in this situation? How would that Araya speak to this person, respond to the situation, respond internally? How would that happen? What would Araya do? What would your higher self, your most chosen self, your most truthful self do? And then act like that. And then knowing that you're always going to be okay, and always going to be supported, and always going to be guided to the life that you truly desire. When you do this, when you walk this path, you can let go of the resentment, of the anger, of all the other things, because those are a choice. And once you honor the part of you that's feeling those things, you let it go, because that voice is heard. There's just a little voice within yourself that is trying to be heard, that is like, please listen to me. I wasn't respected as a kid. I wasn't, honored for my, uniqueness. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't get to be heard. Whatever it is that you're experiencing, listen to that voice. Speak up for yourself right now. Honor the true value that you have. You're so close to the life that you wish to be living. You're so close to that dream life, to your chosen timeline, to the version of you that you were always meant to be. So I hope that this message landed with you and found you at the right time. If you like this message, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new here. Leave a comment if you feel called to do so. If you don't know what to say, you can say hello to guard dog Zima, who is walking up the mountain right now. Just making sure we're safe here. And if you want to sign up for one of my programs, I have 21 days to rewire the mind, which is all about going into the subconscious mind, reprogramming, firing together new neurons so that your perceived reality is completely different, and it is easier, it is more graceful, it is filled with the clear joy and curiosity so that you can float more through life. And I say it like that because it does get easier. Like, there are these lessons that have to be learned within you, these voices that have to be heard and honored, and that part's hard sometimes, that part is scary sometimes, but once we get through those big things, they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually things get easier and easier and easier, and people don't phase you. Things don't phase you. You know yourself so confidently, so truly, that you don't even question standing up for yourself. You don't even think about the consequences of what will happen if you just say your true boundary, right? You're not in that people pleaser state anymore. You're in that truth state, that value state, that you know that you have a lot of value here on earth. That's really what it comes down to, is knowing your worth and speaking from that place. So 21 days to rewire your mind, 21 days to know your divine guidance, all about going into your heart space, learning to speak with your angels and guides, identifying them. I've been communicating with my team so loudly, so clearly. I did some cards with them. I don't always do cards because part of my chapter of life right now, it has been getting downloads of these messages and hearing them from within. But as I've been a little triggered, I was like, I just need support. Can you speak to me through cards? So we did some of that. It was so clear, and I could see which guides were doing it. I could hear their voices. I could see them jumping up and down that we were communicating. It's such a cool experience to have, to really know your divine team and who's here supporting you in this human experience. And so that program is designed for that, so you can get familiar and identify your own team and communicate with them for the rest of your life and get true guidance and clarity on what you need to choose in every season of life. And then I also have one-on-one availability starting now. It should be open again now that I'm back in Italy. So I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.